Hi, I'm Harris, and I'm 45 years old. Please listen to me. I never thought I would die in a church protecting my daughter from bullets, but I did. When I met Jesus, Jesus showed me something about violence that shocked me, a secret that explains every mass shooting, past and future. I don't fully understand it yet, but you need to hear this, because the next shooting is coming, and what I learned might be the only thing that matters. I die in September 2024 at the community church in my small Texas town. I wasn't anything special. I work as a carpenter. I make things better. Broken chairs, cabinets, and porch steps that don't stay still. I have lived in the same town my whole life, and the house always feels a little too quiet. Sarah, my wife, died when Claire was only 6. It took her 8 months to die from cancer. We were planning Claire's birthday party one day, and the next day I was a widower with a little girl who kept asking when mommy would be home. YouTube videos taught me how to braid hair. A book that my school counselor gave me taught me how to talk about periods. I did my best. Claire had become a strong, smart young woman by the time she turned 16, but sometimes I would catch her looking at old pictures of Sarah and see that she was sad, and I didn't know how to help her. You can't build your way out of grief. You can trust me, I tried. I painted her room, built her a new bookshelf, and fixed up the garage, but you can't hammer away the fact that you don't have a mother. My mom lives with us now. At 73, her memory comes and goes like a radio signal. Some days she knows exactly who I am. She calls me by my father's name and asks when dinner will be ready. Even though it's only 10 in the morning, I take her to the bathroom. I tell her to take her medicine. I sit with her when she's scared and confused. After Claire did her homework and Mom went to bed, I would sit in my workshop with a cup of coffee that had gone cold most nights. I'd sand down a piece of wood just to keep my hands busy. The house felt so heavy with all the things we had lost and all the things we were carrying. I went to church every week. Since I was a kid, I'd been going to the local church. I knew everyone who sat in those pews. When the wood started to split, I fixed half of them myself. Pastor Mike once asked me why I kept coming even though I looked so tired. I told him, I don't know where else to go. That was the truth. I had faith in God. I prayed. But lately, it felt like my prayers were bouncing off the ceiling. I'd turn on the news and see that another school had been shot, another shopping center, a different concert. I would see parents screaming and looking for their kids, and something inside me would break a little more. Claire came home from school one night and told me they had a drill for an active shooter. She said it like it was just another pop quiz without any emotion. My 16-year-old daughter had practiced hiding in a closet, staying quiet, and playing dead if she had to. That night I couldn't sleep. I went to the workshop and sat there in the dark. God, where are you? I prayed. Where are you when kids are too scared to go to school? Where are you when people can't even feel safe in church? I didn't get an answer. There was only the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of a train passing through town. I wanted to believe that evil was easy, though. That bad people did bad things and good people didn't. It made sense that way, black and white, simple. But then I remembered Danny Martinez, who had come back from Iraq and couldn't find work. I'd see him at the hardware store sometimes, jumpy and sweating, even though all that was going on was that someone dropped a box of nails. Or Mrs. Chen's son, who had become addicted to painkillers after an accident at work and now lived in his car. Or that young guy who sat alone at the diner every morning, staring at nothing and looking like he was carrying the weight of the world. I didn't know his name. I had no idea what to do with any of it. I just kept my head down and did my job and took care of my family. What else could a carpenter do? That Sunday began like every other one. For breakfast, I made scrambled eggs. My mom asked me 3 times what day it was. Claire was texting someone on her phone. I told her to turn it off before church. I know, Dad, she said, but her smile showed that she understood. We drove to the church and the sun was shining and warm in June. There was a smell of cut grass in the parking lot. The stained glass windows let in light that made patterns of red, blue, and gold. The choir was getting ready. From the third pew, Mrs. Patterson waved to us. I sat down in our usual spot, and Claire was next to me. The cross necklace that used to belong to her mother was on her neck. I remember noticing that and being glad she still wore it. The service was started by Pastor Mike. We sang the song, "Great is thy faithfulness." Claire's voice was quiet next to mine. I shut my eyes and tried to feel something, like peace, hope, or anything. And then things changed. First came the sound, a crack that was so loud it didn't seem real. Then one more. Then they yelled. I looked back and saw him. A man I didn't know was standing in the doorway with a gun. His face was twisted in pain and anger. People were diving under pews and running for the doors. Something was being yelled by Pastor Mike. I didn't think. I grabbed Claire and pulled her down, covering her with my body. I felt the hit before I heard the shot, like a sledgehammer hitting my chest. It's hot, very sharp. I couldn't breathe. Claire was yelling my name. I tried to tell her I was fine, but I couldn't say anything. The ceiling above me began to fade. The window's colored light went out. I heard people praying and crying out to God the last time I heard anything. And then there was silence. There was complete and total silence. I was gone. I felt panic right away. I couldn't get air. My chest wasn't moving. I tried to gasp for air, but there was nothing. No lungs, no body, nothing to breathe with. The fear was instant. I'm going to die. I'm really dying. And then, just as quickly, the fear went away. It wasn't like going to sleep. It was like taking off a tight coat that I'd worn my whole life. I wasn't having any trouble anymore all of a sudden. My chest pain was gone. The weight of my exhaustion, grief, and worry just went away. I opened my eyes, but they weren't seeing anything anymore. I was above the sanctuary, floating near the ceiling and looking down. I could see my body lying on the floor. Claire was screaming and bent over me with her hands on my chest. There was blood all over the place. Pastor Mike was kneeling next to her and praying with his lips moving. Mrs. Patterson was holding 2 kids in her arms to protect them. People were running, crying, and calling 911, and I felt nothing. No worries, no pain. Just this odd, gentle curiosity, like watching a movie about someone else's life. I should have been scared. I should have been fighting to get back. But instead, I felt a deep, quiet calm. It felt like warm water wrapping around me. Then I saw the light. It began as a small light in the corner of my vision, but it got brighter and brighter until it filled everything. It wasn't too bad. It was nice to look at. It was soft and golden, like the light that comes through the trees in the morning in the summer. And I was going toward it, not walking, just moving, like a current gently pulling you. The church was gone. The yelling stopped. Everything around me turned into light, pure, endless light. I wasn't scared. I was interested. Wow. It felt like waking up after the longest, most tiring sleep of my life. And then I was in a different place. I was standing in a field. It wasn't exactly grass. It was hard to explain. The ground felt solid, but it looked like water. And these beams of light stretched out in all directions, crossing each other like wood grain. I work as a carpenter. I've worked with wood my whole life, feeling the patterns in oak, pine, and cedar. And this place, this beautiful, impossible place, looked like it had been carved by someone who knew all the secrets of wood and all the hidden beauty in the grain. I was shocked and stood there. The workshop at home was the only place I could always relax. And now I was in a place that felt like the workshop of the whole world. Then I saw him. He was standing in the field about 20 feet away. Right away, I knew who he was. Not because of pictures or paintings, not because someone else told me, I just knew. The same way you know your name. Jesus. He didn't shine. He wasn't in the air. He looked real, solid. He dressed like a working man in simple clothes. His hands looked strong, like they had built things and held tools, hands of a carpenter. But his face made me stop. His eyes were full of love. There is also a lot of sadness. He looked at me the way I had looked at Claire when she was little and scared, like he wanted to hold me and tell me everything would be fine. When I tried to talk, my voice broke. Am I dead? He smiled a little bit. You were, but you're here now. And then I fell apart. I don't know why. Maybe it was the way he spoke kindly. Maybe it was the weight of 45 years finally getting to me. But I fell to my knees in that field of light and began to cry. I cried for her. For all the nights I couldn't sleep because I missed her. I cried for Claire because she didn't have a mother growing up. I cried for my mom who was losing her mind. I cried for all the things I had tried to fix that I couldn't. For every prayer that seemed to go nowhere. For every news story that made my heart hurt a little more. Then Jesus came over and knelt down next to me. At first he didn't say anything. He simply touched my shoulder, and the second he touched me, I felt it. This beautiful, overwhelming wave of love that crushed me. It wasn't like any love I'd ever had, not love between partners, family, or friends. It was larger, cleaner. It was the kind of love that sees every mistake you've ever made, every selfish thought, and every failure, and loves you anyway. Not because of it, just totally. I had spent my whole life trying to be good enough, a good husband, a good father, Christian enough. And all of a sudden, I knew I didn't have to be. I was already, not because of anything I had done, just because I was his. Through my tears, I looked up at him. I don't get it. Why am I here? His eyes, which were kind and sad, held mine. There's something you need to see, Harris. The world needs to know this. And at that moment, I knew that everything was about to change. Jesus helped me get up. His hand was warm and strong. For real. Come walk with me, he said. We began to walk through the field of light. I couldn't feel my legs moving. It was more like the world moved around us. The beams of light moved and changed, making shapes that I couldn't quite name. They felt like they had a purpose, like when you look at clouds and see faces, on purpose. I've been so tired, I said. I couldn't stop the words from coming out. I've been so tired for so long, Jesus said softly. I know. You've had to carry heavy things, Harris, by yourself. The way he said my name made my throat feel tight. I had to. Claire needed me. I needed my mom. There wasn't anyone else. And who looked after you? I didn't know what to say. I had never thought about it. There was always someone else who needed more. Jesus stopped moving. He turned to face me, and his eyes were so full of kindness that it hurt to look at them. You've been asking me for years where I was, through all that pain, with all that violence. You asked me that question in the dark during your workshop when you couldn't sleep? My face hurt. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have... No? His voice was strong but soft. Don't say sorry for being honest. Harris, I want your real questions, not the nice ones. I took a deep breath. Then where were you? Where are you when kids are being shot at school? When people can't even pray in peace? I was at your house, your home, and a man came in with a gun and my voice broke. Where were you? Jesus didn't turn away. He didn't get angry. He just listened as if he had all the time in the world. Then he put his hand up, and the light around us changed. Pictures appeared in the air, not like a screen in a movie, more like windows that let you see into different places and times. I saw a boy who looked to be about 7 or 8 years old. He was laughing and running through a sprinkler in someone's yard. He had a big smile, joyful. Vance, Jesus said quietly, the man who came into your church. My stomach turned. I wanted to turn away, but I couldn't. The pictures changed. I saw the same boy who was older now standing in a living room. His dad was yelling. His face was red and his fist was raised. The boy was no longer happy. His eyes were flat, frightened. Then I saw him as a teen, alone in the school cafeteria. Kids walked by him as if he weren't there. Then I saw him in Iraq wearing a military uniform, desert, booms, bodies. He was shaking as he tried to help a friend who was bleeding to death in the sand. Then I saw him again at home, sitting in a dark flat. Bottles that are empty are on the floor. There was a gun on the table. There was nothing in his face. Scared. No, I said softly. No, I don't want to see this. Jesus said, You wanted to know where I was. His voice was full of sadness. I was in the backyard with that little boy. I was there when his father's fists fell. I was with him in the desert when his friend died in his arms. I was with him in that dark apartment when the pain got too bad to handle. I cried, Why didn't you stop it then? Why didn't you help him?" I saw tears in Jesus' eyes when he turned to me. "I sent people, Harris. Teachers who might have seen it, neighbors who could have helped, counselors for veterans, people who go to church. I sent a lot of people, but they were busy, not paying attention. They saw the warning signs, but chose to ignore them because it was easier, safer." The pictures changed again. I could see other faces now. A girl in her teens is sitting in a bathroom with pills in her hand. A young man is standing on a bridge and looking down at the water. A woman in her 60s or 70s was in a grocery store. Her hands were shaking and her eyes were darting around like everyone was a threat. "These are the hurt ones," Jesus said. "The ones that everyone walks by, the ones who are in so much pain that no one wants to see them because it makes you feel bad to see their pain. Means taking part, means giving up time, comfort, and safety." I thought about Danny Martinez while I was at the hardware store. Mrs. Chen's son lives in his car. That young man in the diner was staring at nothing. I had seen them, and I had turned away too. "Harris, violence doesn't come out of nowhere," Jesus said next. "It grows in the dark, in wounds that haven't been treated, in trauma that was ignored, in hearts that have been broken so many times that they don't know how to feel anymore." He waved his hand, and the pictures changed again. I saw schools, places of worship, malls, theaters for movies. Everything is fine. Then I saw them broken, glass everywhere, people running, and sirens going off. Jesus said, "This is what happens when you don't care about the hurt." His voice was strong now. When society sees hurting people as problems to avoid instead of souls to heal. "Harris, the pain won't go away. It gets worse, it gets bigger, and in the end it blows up. But how do we stop it?" I sounded desperate. How do we put an end to all of this? I could feel Jesus looking at me in my chest. "You see them. You care about them. Before they break. That's all?" I was almost mad. "Just look at them? Do you think that's tiny?" Jesus asked. "Do you think it's simple? Most people walk by the wounded every day of their lives. They turn away from pain because it makes them feel bad, because it asks them to do something." He moved closer to me. "Harris, Vance didn't wake up one morning and decided to hurt people. He was a young boy who liked ice cream and sprinklers, but he was broken bit by bit, hurt by hurt, and no one stopped to fix him. No one saw him when he really needed someone to see him." I thought about the man's face in the doorway of the church, that look of pain and anger on his face. I had only seen the anger. I didn't see the pain underneath. "You're telling me I should have..." "What? Did you make friends with him?" "I didn't even know him." "Someone should have," Jesus said softly. "Someone should have seen him when he was a little boy years ago, when he got back from the war and couldn't sleep. When he was sitting in that dark apartment, he was drowning. Someone should have come to his door, should have said, 'I see you. You're not the only one.'" It felt like a wave of weight hit me. All those people I had walked by. I had seen people get hurt so many times and told myself it wasn't my problem. "I didn't know," I said in a weak voice. Jesus said, "I know you didn't. That's why I'm showing you this now." He waved his hand again and new pictures came up. I saw the same things, churches, schools, and shopping malls, but this time they stayed calm. Kids are laughing, families praying together, people can shop without worry. "This is what happens when the hurt are healed," Jesus said, "when communities don't turn away from pain, when veterans are welcomed instead of shunned, when people who are addicted are loved instead of judged, when people who are alone are welcomed instead of being left out." In the pictures, I saw Danny Martinez, but instead of being alone at the hardware store, someone was talking to him for real, paying attention. I saw Mrs. Chen's son, but he wasn't driving. He was in a church basement with a group of people holding a cup of coffee and crying, and people were sitting next to him, not fixing him, just being there. Jesus said, If you heal the wounds early, the violence never comes. The shooter never picks up the gun because someone else did first. I started crying again. But there are so many of them. How can we even... One at a time, Jesus said softly. You can't help everyone, Harris, but you can see the one that's right in front of you. The one person everyone else is ignoring. That's where it all begins. He put his hands on my shoulders. I'm giving you a job. Go back. Let them know what you've seen. Tell them that violence isn't the problem. It's the sign of a problem. The sickness is not caring. It's the turning away. It's the not my problem that lets wounds get worse in the dark. Go back? My heart skipped a beat. You mean I can go back? Jesus said, You have to. Claire still needs you. You need to be there for your mother, and there are hurt people in your town who need someone to see them, love them before they break. But I don't want to go. The words came out of me. I don't want to go back to the pain and the tiredness, and I pointed around at the light. This is the first time in a long time that I felt at peace for real. Please don't make me go. His eyes were so kind. I know what you mean. Harris, this is home. And one day you'll be back here. You will stay. I swear to you that. But for now, there is work to do, and you're the one I'm sending to do it. Why me? I said. Oh, I'm just a carpenter. I'm not special? Jesus smiled. Me too, and see what one carpenter can make. He hugged me tightly. His arms were strong, and for a moment I felt completely safe. Loved all the way, like a dad holding a child who would never let go. Forgive Vance when you go back, he said softly. Say you're sorry to him. Let people hear it. Because if you can forgive the man who killed you, it will open hearts that have been closed for years. I don't know if I can, I said in a low voice. Jesus said, I'll help you. I'll be there for you every step of the way. I'll carry you when you're tired. I'll give you the words when you don't know what to say. Harris, you aren't going back alone. I'm going with you. He stepped back and looked me in the face. Tell them this. Love ends the violence. When people choose to be kind instead of comfortable. When they see the hurt and don't turn away. Let them know I'm watching. I'm waiting. I'm sending them to the people who are hurting, just like I'm sending you. The light around us started to change. I felt a pull, like a current was pulling me back. Wait, I said in a panic. I don't want to. I don't know how to. You will know, Jesus said. He smiled softly. Sure of yourself. Believe me, you will know. The pulling got stronger. The light in the field began to fade. His face was the last thing I saw. I heard his voice last. Go make something nice, Harris. Make a community that doesn't turn its back. Make a place where people who are hurt can get better. That's what carpenters do. We make things. And then the light went out. Pain hit me like a train. My chest hurt a lot. It felt like broken glass with every breath. I could hear people yelling, the sound of sirens and hands pressing down on my ribs. There was someone counting. Compressions. They were doing compressions. I gasped. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with air. I almost wished I hadn't come back because it hurt so much. He's back. We have a pulse. I woke up to fluorescent lights and paramedics standing over me. The roof of the church, not the light field, not Jesus. The loss hurt me more than the bullet did. I had been home. I had been surrounded by perfect love and peace, and now I was back in this world that was hurting and broken, and in this body that was hurting and broken. I wanted to let go for a second, to get back into that light, but then I heard her speak. Dad! Please, Dad! Claire! My Claire! She was crying and holding my hand so tightly that it hurt. She was scared. Her face was pale and streaked with tears, and I remembered what Jesus had said. She still needs you? I held her hand tightly. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm here. She broke down and put her forehead on my shoulder while the paramedics worked. I thought you were gone. I know, I said quietly, but I'm still here. They brought me to the hospital. Operation, getting better, therapy for the body. The doctor said it was a miracle. The bullet missed my heart by less than an inch. I should have died in that church. I did die in that church. But I came back with a purpose. 3 weeks after I got home, the first thing I did was write a letter. I shook my hand as I held the pen. Claire sat across from me at the table in the kitchen and watched. "Are you sure about this, Dad?" I nodded. "I have to." Vance's mother got the letter. He had died at the scene after police shot him after he had killed 2 people and hurt 4 others. Everyone in town wanted to forget about him, to hate him. But I had seen that boy in the backyard. I had seen every painful moment that had brought him to that church. I wrote, "Mrs. Coleman, I forgive your son. I know those words are hard to read, but you should know that I don't hate him. I feel bad for him, for the boy he was before the world hurt him. I'm praying for you and your loved ones. You didn't lose a huge thing. You lost your kid, and I'm really, really sorry. I felt better when I sent it. Something I didn't even know I had, forgiveness. Not because Vance deserved it, but only because Jesus told me to, and because holding on to hate would have made me just as lost as Vance had been. After that, things changed. Not all at once, but slowly, like the sun coming up. Yes, I started seeing people differently. Claire would come home from school, and instead of asking, "How were your grades?" I'd ask, "How are you? Really?" And I'd sit and listen, really listen. Not while checking my phone or thinking about the next repair job. Just listening. One night she told me about a girl at school who sat alone every day. Everyone ignores her, Dad. She's just invisible. I thought about Jesus' words, "See the wounded before they break." "Why don't you invite her over this weekend?" I said, "We could make pizza. Watch a movie." Claire looked surprised. Then she smiled. "Yeah, I'd like that." The girl's name was Amy. She came over that Saturday, quiet and nervous. By the end of the night, she was laughing with Claire in the living room, and I heard her say, "Thanks for inviting me. Nobody ever invites me anywhere." That's when I knew this was the work, one person at a time. I started going to Danny Martinez's house every Tuesday evening, just to sit with him, drink coffee, let him talk about Iraq if he wanted to, or not talk at all, just be there. The first few times he barely said anything, but eventually he started opening up about the nightmares, the guilt, the feeling that he didn't belong anywhere anymore. "You belong here," I told him, "with people who see you." I talked to Pastor Mike about starting a support group at the church for veterans, for people struggling with addiction, for anyone carrying wounds they couldn't carry alone. He hesitated. "Harris, I don't know if we have the resources." "We have a building," I said. "We have people. That's all we need." Jesus didn't have resources. He just had love. The group started small. 6 people in the church basement on Thursday nights. Now, 8 months later, we have 30. People sharing their stories, crying together, healing together, and not one of them is invisible anymore. My mom still forgets things. But now, instead of getting frustrated, I sit with her. I hold her hand. I tell her stories about my childhood, even if she's already forgotten them 10 times. One afternoon, she looked at me with clear eyes and said, "You're different now. Softer." "I learned something, Mom," I said. "I learned that time with people is the only thing that really matters." She smiled. "Your father used to say that." I still go to my workshop at night, but not to hide anymore. I go because I'm building something. Benches for the church, a bookshelf for Amy's family. Her parents couldn't afford one. A wheelchair ramp for Mrs. Patterson's husband. Every piece of wood I touch, I think about that field of light, about Jesus saying, "Go build something beautiful." I'm building a community that doesn't look away. I gave my testimony at church 3 months ago. I told them everything about dying, about meeting Jesus, about Vance, and all the wounded people walking among us invisible. I told them what Jesus told me. The violence stops when the love starts. Some people cried. Some people came up to me afterward and said, I've been ignoring someone. I need to stop. That's all I wanted for people to see. I don't know if I'm doing enough. Some days I feel like one carpenter can't possibly make a difference in a world this broken. But then I remember what Jesus said, one at a time. Claire is different too. She started a kindness club at school, kids who commit to sitting with the lonely ones at lunch, who look for the invisible students and make them visible. She told me last week, Dad, 3 kids who used to eat alone now have friends. 3. It's 3 kids who won't grow up feeling like nobody sees them. I hugged her so tight. That's 3 futures you just changed, baby. If you're reading this, I need you to hear something. Jesus is real. Heaven is real. Yeah, and he's watching. He sees every hurting person you walk past. Every wound you ignore because it's easier. He's not asking you to save the world. He's asking you to see the one person in front of you, the coworker who seems off, the neighbor who never smiles anymore, the kid at school who sits alone. See them, love them before they break. Because violence doesn't start with hate. It starts with loneliness, with pain that nobody notices, with wounds that fester in the dark. But you can stop it right now, today. Notice someone, reach out, ask how they're really doing, and then listen. Actually listen. That's what Jesus does. He sees us when we're drowning and he doesn't look away. He steps into our pain and he's asking us to do the same. I still miss that field of light. I still long for that perfect love. Some nights I close my eyes and try to remember what it felt like to be home. But then I look at Claire laughing with her friends. I see Danny smiling for the first time in months. I watch Amy gain confidence week by week. And I realize I am home, right here, building something beautiful with these broken, healing people. Jesus told me he'd be with me every step, and he is. Every single day. When I'm tired, he carries me. When I don't know what to say, he gives me the words. And when I see someone hurting, really see them, I feel his hand on my shoulder, whispering, yes, that one, love that one. So that's what I do. I'm just a carpenter. But Jesus was just a carpenter too, and look what he built. One heart at a time, one act of love at a time, one saved life at a time. That's how we stop the violence. That's how we heal the world. We see the wounded, and we don't look away. Before you go, subscribe and type in the comments where you're tuning in from. Each message is a reminder that God's love stretches across cities, states, and nations, uniting us as one body. This isn't just a channel, it's a prayer circle, a family in Christ, and we're grateful you're here